All right, happy
Awesome.
Monday. Welcome to another spring office hours. My name is Dan Vega. With me, as always, is my friend DaShaun. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I think we are both in the same boat. It's a Monday. We learned a bunch last week, and we are motivated to keep moving forward and try some new stuff.
Oh, I'm having some connectivity issues here. I don't know what's
Oh,
going on.
but can you hear me now? Check 1 2. Check 1 2.
1 second.
Okay, that's okay. Like this is what happens. This is how things go. Um, I was just saying, I'm excited. We were both in Toronto, and it was amazing for Spring One tour. And yeah, Um, we're going to do a little recap of what went on there. It was a great little tour roadshow. The attitudes were great. I think a lot of people were learning, and yeah, the presentations were amazing, and the city was even more impressive than that. So hello, welcome everybody. It's uh, Anbu was able to share that he could hear us both, so maybe it was just in your ears.
Yes, it's just one of the many devices in this house that my wireless earbuds can connect to was turned on and automatically connected to. So the beautiful technology of Bluetooth. That's what it was.
Good stuff. What was the
Yep.
best part about Toronto for you?
Um, I think obviously just being able to meet all of my coworkers for the first time. Well, not all, most of them. I have to say, I didn't realize DaShaun was such a tall guy. You are very towering over everyone. So I could see the athletic background there. I think, yeah, just being able to meet everyone and kind of hang out with everyone and talk shop. We had a lot of time where we were in the speaker room in the back, just kind of talking about work and what we're working on. So, those are my favorite moments.
I had those were awesome, and also uh, just sitting around the lunch table and talking to the attendees. I thought that was
Yep.
amazing. I learned a bunch. It's always great to hear where people are going, and and it's also great to get good feedback when people are
Hmm.
excited about what they're seeing in the presentations. That's always fun.
Yep. Yeah, I heard you got a lot of feedback on like we saw this in this presentation, and like I think Mastercard was one of the ones you were talking to. Was just like, yeah, these are all the technologies we're using, and you're like, great, let's sit down and talk about it.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised at um, the audience, like how many people were headed or already on Kubernetes versus not.
Yeah.
Um, but then also I was kind of not surprised. But we had a great audience. The conversations that I had were amazing. As always, the hallway track is usually the best part of the conference.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah, for me, I think, we got there. Well, so I got there Monday. I was supposed to be there very early on Monday. My flight got pushed back twice, and I had a lunchtime meetup that I was speaking at with our coworker Cora, and so I got in at 11:30, and the presentation is at 12:30. So by the time you get off the plane, get your bags, it's noon, and now I know it's a half hour away from the the airport. So I knew it was going to be very close. Um, the Martin O'Connor was there. Awesome. Would love to hear your feedback as well. So yeah, I didn't get there till 12:30, and then we just kind of kicked it off. It was very informal, which is always nice. It's less kind of pressure, if you will, than a normal conference talk, because it was like a pizza party, lunchtime thing. Everybody was just sitting around, and we got to kind of chat about test containers. So the this it was a big week for me last week. I had three brand new talks in 4 days, so that was there was a lot going on. So that first one was test containers. It was awesome. It was Cora and I's first time doing that presentation, so it was a great time to kind of feel the time out on that one. But it was so informal that we ended up going probably for like 2 hours because we just kept taking questions from everyone and we just go into a demo of how things work. So that was fun. If you haven't used test containers yet, oh, you got to look at it. It's so nice. I'll have to put some more content together on that and kind of put that out there.
Yeah.
And then I saw you there. You showed up at the meetup there afterwards and hung out there. And then we went to dinner. We went to dinner at the CN Tower. Oh, that was really cool.
That was really cool. That was a cool experience all the way around.
Yeah. And then getting to Tuesday, the conference starts. I thought the biggest thing for me was I sat down and the first person to speak is Nate, our coworker Nate Shuda. And I mean, he's just amazing at what he does. He just takes these slides and these kind of, he has very simple slides, but he can really kind of articulate what he's trying to get across. And I'm sitting there going, oh, great. This is what I got to follow.
And that was the topic of conversation quite a bit. He does amazing, and he knows when he does well. And it's weird. That's a weird thing to kind of explain to people that don't present to audiences that they don't know. It's a weird thing to try to explain what we do for that part of our role. And yeah, he crushed it. Like the audience days later is still talking about the first session that they saw on day one. Yeah, he did an amazing job.
Yeah, and it was a great topic too. It was really like when are microservices the answer? I don't remember the exact title of his talk, but it revolved around, when to reach for microservices. So I think that's a really great topic these days because people hear the buzz term and they just think, oh, we should be on microservices. And we know that's not the case. So.
When I asked informally, my informal audience poll, when I asked, the second most popular answer that I got was your session.
Oh, geez. That's awesome. Yeah, that turned out well. That was another kind of first talk, but I've done it enough in these shows. I actually recorded a video for Chicago because I wasn't able to be in Chicago. So I gave it kind of already. But that was the first in-person time I've given that talk. So yeah, it went well. I thought it went pretty well. So
nailed it.
Got a lot of really good questions afterwards. Which we are going to bring to office hours, in the next couple of sessions. One around caching, which was really good. One around security. I know from reading the documentation on GraphQL, I know how kind of Spring Security works into it, but I don't have any demos showing that off. So I want to kind of show that off. Yeah, just a lot of great questions in the session and then a few after, which was cool. So
excellent. Should we take a look at our calendar? What's coming up?
Yeah, actually, let me go ahead and add my screen. I just want to bring this up for anybody who may be here or watching the replay. Not really sure what we're talking about. So we have this Spring One tour. It's a 2-day in-person event, and we're kind of traveling around, not the entire world, but we're in the US. We'll be in Amsterdam later. So there are these tour stops, and if you click on, say, Toronto, where we just were, you can see where it is. If it was coming up, you can register for it, and then it shows a schedule of all the different talks. So here's that talk we were talking about with Nate, responsible microservices. Here's mine, and then you can kind of go through. There's DaShaun, Spring Native by example, which was really good, by the way. I commented on yours. It was just saying, like, you and Nate have this ability. Like, you didn't have a lot of slides. You had not a ton of slides, and you were just able to kind of like take this one thing and really articulate what you were trying to get across. So that was really cool to see. That's another thing I think I really took from this is just everybody has their own style, and like maybe grabbing one thing from someone just to like improve your presentations. I think I took that away a lot, like between Nate and Jakob and you and Josh and Cora. Like I kind of just pull from that. So that was exciting.
Yeah,
so
I definitely took some notes from Jakob and Mario.
Yeah.
There's a couple of little things the way that they worked. that was not just like for presentation, but also they were doing live coding sessions. So to see how they were building
Mhm.
things, that that kind of stuck. So I do have some things to practice, and I'm excited about this week. Get some reps in.
Live coding is always tough because you just never know like where you're going to be coding
Is the
from. Like,
Wi-Fi going to work?
is it going to work? Is like Josh tried coding on on the podium, and he was like, "I'm not going to code here. I'm going to go ahead and move it over
Yeah,
to this other
the,
table."
it doesn't fit. The space is no good.
Right, right. So that was cool to see. So this is Toronto. The next one we are going to be in is New York. And New York's going to be really fun because hopefully our entire team is going to be there. We're at the Convene. Pretty cool area. Lots of things right around there. We're going to be in town for a week together. We have some team events, so I'm really looking forward to this. This is 2 weeks home, and then we're back on the road. So the schedule's already up. If you want to kind of take a look at what is going on. Speaking of, I didn't even get to meet Mario. I had to leave probably half day on Wednesday because I had to go to the airport. So he must have came in right after I left.
Yeah, I think you guys. I think he was in the room as you were leaving. Yeah, you guys just missed each other.
Darn it. So yeah, looking forward to seeing Mario there and Layla and hopefully Whitney. I don't know who's all. Oh, there he is. Yeah, Whitney's there too. So yeah, looking forward to meeting the entire team now.
Yes, indeed. It's gonna be good.
Here's a question. Are there Spring One tour recordings available? Usually no, I guess, except when it happened virtually during 2020. Yeah, I think that's the answer.
But what I will
Mm,
say, and what I said at the conference in Toronto, was if you missed out, you wanted to be there, and there's something that you want details on, um, yeah, let us know. If there's something specific you're looking for, because it might be somewhere else, it might not be that same uh, Toronto, experience. But all of this, we're not trying to hide any information. We want to share. We want to get it out to you. So if you're looking for something specific, let us know and
And
let
to be
us.
fair,
Yeah.
if it's a talk DaShaun and I have given, we've probably done a lot on either this show or code around that topic because we have to build these presentations. So as we're like building them, we're sharing out that information anyway. So
Yeah, just let us know. What are you looking for?
cool.
We're happy to help. I don't have all the answers. Dan's got more than I do, but
Mm.
both of us have Slack, and we know the folks, how to get the information that you need. We don't want you
Yeah,
to be stuck.
that was the other thing, being able to kind of chat with some of the spring team members, chatting with Spencer and Glenn. Uh,
Oh, Spencer,
they
man.
just have so much info.
Yep, yep. And Glenn has been on my radar. He is wow. He is amazing. Like just he's got a really really great energy. If you get a chance to see Glenn Renfro speak, I highly recommend it. 10 out of 10. Highly recommend. But Spencer is so full of information, and I am a big fan of not just him as a person, but also his journey to the spring team. One of the things that I said, and that is 100% true, Spencer became a leader. He's one of the leads of the spring team purely by contributing as a community member, and he had just popped himself onto the radar, and that's how he got kind of pulled into the team. And I love that story and that idea that this is open source. Like this is how it works. Uh, he set a really good example for anybody that is passionate about spring. Uh, he set the example, and it's a path that he's not the only one that's taken that path, but he's one of my favorite stories and one of my favorite people for sure.
Absolutely. And I'll include these links in the show notes. So Spencer Gibb over here. If you don't know, if you go to spring.io/team, you can find everybody on the spring team. Here's Spencer and kind of any blog posts or links that he has. You can check him out there. Speaking of Glenn, I told him this when I was talking with him last week. He has a really good intro, what is spring presentation from Spring One last year. And so if you're kind of new to spring, this is a really, really good beginner friendly, just kind of 10,000 foot overview of what is spring and how do I get started with it. So check this one out. I'll go ahead and include that one as well.
Yep. Good stuff.
Yeah. Hey,
So
you want
we
to
have,
talk about the
yeah,
calendar?
what's on the agenda this week? What's coming up? I'm going to
So
pull it up here if you
Tuesday,
want
we
to
have
flash it.
some reactor things, some reactor pieces coming in, reactor core, reactor netty, reactor pool. I'm actually not really familiar with what reactor pool is. So
Well, so maybe that's something that we should learn about
yeah.
and maybe share later this week.
Reactor pool project aims to provide a generic object pool to reactive application. Okay, so it's a pool for non-blocking. Okay, that kind of makes sense. This is new though, right? If this is in one, what did the calendar say? 0.2.9. So this is fairly new. So yeah, maybe we'll take a look at that and see if we can learn a little bit more about that. There are so many projects in the Spring ecosystem. If you feel like you're overwhelmed by them, don't worry. We are too at sometimes, and we get to work with this stuff every day. So there are so many great projects out there.
Yes. So this is the plan. This is what we talked about a couple weeks ago. When we have things like this on the calendar, what we would like to do is maybe get some review of the release notes. That's one of the things that we'll share. So we don't have the release notes. They won't be packaged up until after the 14th for those things that are released on the 14th. This is what we learned. Those release notes will come up and those will be packaged at some point on the 14th. So we'll be able to talk about it after that. So one of the things that we'll look forward to here in office hours is, getting a quick review, whether it's just from us having read the notes or somebody from the team that's doing those projects, those releases. We'll see if we can get them on the show and give us a quick executive summary because you should be reading the release notes for the projects that you're using.
Yep, and then Spring Cloud release 2022.0.0 milestone 3. So that's getting closer to an RC or a GA. And then some micrometer releases 1.8.7, 1.9.1, Spring Framework 5.3.21. I did have a chance to kind of look through this. Again, if you click on these, you can kind of just move over to basically you check out the milestones so you could see what is open still and what has been closed. So you can see all the kind of things that have gone into this release. This is a patch release, so a lot of bug fixes in here. But yeah, you can go through and check out maybe one of those things that hasn't been working for you has been fixed. So read through those, read through the release notes. Spring Tool Suite and Spring LDAP.
LDAP.
And next week looks like a busy week.
Yes. So we got lots of cool stuff coming down the pipe. It's 2022. And later this year, Spring Framework 6 and Spring Boot 3, which I've already taken for a spin. I took them for a spin on the show. And it's pretty easy, for the depth of these demos. And that was a big conversation. The upgrade path. That was a big conversation in Toronto. Teams that are upgrading, what's the right way to go? And again, read the release notes. 9 times out of 10, like, hey, how do I upgrade from this to this? 9 times out of 10, it's covered in the release notes.
Yep. I'm glad you mentioned that too. It's exciting to hear people talking about that they want to start preparing now to move to Java 17, Spring Framework 6, Spring Boot 3.0. And that everybody's not just like, we'll wait for a while. So there's some eagerness to get upgraded, which is great. Again, we mentioned on another show, but there's a really great blog post on the Spring blog, kind of getting you ready for what's coming in Spring Boot 3 and Spring Framework 6. So yeah, we'll put a link to that blog post as well in the show notes. Good stuff there.
Excellent.
Speaking of the blog, I'm over here at the spring.io/blog. A lot of good stuff. Again, we haven't been on in 2 weeks because we were out last week. Josh
should
has
have
been
done
doing
one.
this. I know we should have. Maybe we will in New York for sure.
I think we should.
Um, Josh has been doing a ton of content around Spring for GraphQL, and there's a whole bunch of interviews with. So you have Andy Mark on here, which is the creator of GraphQL Java, which is the underpinning library for Spring for GraphQL. You have the lead, Rasen Stoyakov. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but I know Rasen. Rasen is the lead,
Nailed it.
and he's amazing. So there's a bunch of videos and content around that. So check this out. Josh also did a podcast with Cora while they're in Toronto.
Have you listened to that yet?
I have not listened to it yet.
It's queued up right there on this other tab. I'm going to listen to that today.
Nice. Yeah, I'm going to go through that as well. Always listening to those two talk. That's going to be fun. So, and I was going to try and connect with Josh last week and do a podcast episode with him, but we just didn't have time. So hopefully I'm going to do that this week. So hopefully be on the lookout for that. Spring Shell 2.1.0 milestone 5. I know you're a big fan of Spring Shell. Don't know what's in this release.
Well,
this
after you left, Mark Pollock also did a session on the Spring CLI and built using Spring Shell, and it's amazing. What felt really good about that session is like some of the things I get excited about. He's already considered, and he's got this really, really cool path forward. So yeah, there's so many cool things that we're able to do with Spring these days, and yeah, Spring Shell making native fast shells CLIs is easy.
So did he have any demos? What kind of things was he building with it?
He mentioned Spring Brew. Do you remember Spring Brew?
I do. I never used it, but I definitely know it.
It's all of those things that you might want to do later on, like upgrading a dependency or adding things like Spring Native, stuff that that makes sense. If I have an application that's running in production and I want to add the Spring Native dependencies to it, that shouldn't be complex. I shouldn't have to go and do a whole lot. So it's just
copy and paste.
Yep. Or add Spring Native.
That's interesting because I know. So I do a lot of work on the JavaScript side of things, and some of the frameworks out there have that same exact concept. So in Nux, if I've already got an application that's running and I want to like add Tailwind to it, you don't have to go searching for what the dependency is that you got to add. You just run like npm add and then whatever dependency you're trying to add, and it fills in those bits for you. So yeah, that's
exactly
interesting.
That. Exactly that.
That's awesome. That's a good use case for that. So
yep. So he had a lot of great examples, things that you might expect from a CLI around Spring. What would you expect? Yeah, it'd be nice to be able to upgrade from Spring Boot 2.6 to 2.7, right?
Yeah.
Have that with a CLI, maybe have it generate a PR for that project. There's a lot of cool things that are possible, and I'm excited about his work and the stuff that I've done. And I've actually demoed here with Initializer++, my little side shell. I think that I'm going to be able to do a PR for the Spring CLI.
Awesome. Yeah, I could think of so just thinking of GraphQL, if you haven't created a bunch of applications that use GraphQL, there's the bits that, all right, I need to get all the dependencies in there. And then the folder structure, there's a convention. So under source main resources, there's a GraphQL folder. And then you put some type of schema file in there. I could see like Spring add GraphQL generating that folder, generating a base schema file for you. Not code generation, but just kind of putting the bits in place that you need to get started. So that'd be cool.
Yep. He also talked about, he did mention the Spring migrator, Spring Boot migrator. And he also mentioned like open rewrite, this path forward. How are we going to make upgrades easier? Again, upgrades can be difficult. It's normally, I'd say it's the 80-20, 80% of those upgrades are super easy. Grab the latest parent POM and you're in great shape. But not everybody uses only the things that are included in the spring parent palm and what's available in those libraries. So sometimes there's those edge cases, but I think it's definitely the 80-20 rule where you're going to get most of your stuff upgraded pretty painlessly, and you're going to have well documented notes on the things that are deprecated or need changes to upgrade. But yeah, it's an exciting time. It's an exciting time.
For sure. And then last, I have the This Week in Spring by Josh Long, who does a great job of kind of rounding up everything that happened in spring. So a lot of things that he was already working on that we talked about, the GraphQL stuff, the podcast, and then just a whole bunch of great links out here. So make sure you always check these out. These are a great way to stay informed and kind of what's happening in the spring community, as well as this show. So.
Definitely. Well, I didn't have a demo today. We'd like to have demos. Hey, go over what's coming down the pipe, do a little demo, but then also like questions. So I think maybe we move here. It's time to register for New York. You can still register for Spring 1 Tour New York. Definitely do that. Also, you should be looking ahead to Spring 1 in San Francisco in December. But the real deal is we don't want you to be stuck. Bring your questions. At my house, we like to say, if you come to the dinner table and you leave hungry, that's your fault. We want you to bring your questions. If you have questions when you come to office hours and you leave without asking your questions, ask your questions. So if you have anything.
Recently, I noticed that we can access the spring blog by year, month, date, but click on the bottom of the nav, year, month, date is not considered. So let's go. So this is the year, month, date. So if we just go to blog, not sure I understand what it's saying.
Bottom of the page. Oh, it's the pagination. Is that what you're talking about?
Gotcha. So is there a pagination here?
Right there.
Okay. So this will go blog page equals 2.
That makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And what?
Oh, so he's saying that maybe that we used to display like just everything for a year.
No, I think what he would like, if I went to blog 2019, maybe I'd want to see that pagination of just the blogs in 2019.
Gotcha.
So instead of the
does that
make sense? So like it was a query, but I don't think that's a query result.
So instead of /blog, it should be /blog/2019 page equals 2.
Yeah.
Is this in? Yeah. Okay. So that is just a bug, and we can fix that. There is an easy way to do that. There's under. We go over to GitHub, and we have the Spring IO, right? IO. Here we go. Let's see. Let's look and see what this is under. I don't think I've ever made a contribution to the website, so that would be fun.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so it's doing page equals 2 and then just jumping to, so it won't page through just 2019.
Right. And like the results are showing. So it's the pagination. If you do 2019/12,
that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, you only get 4 pages of results, but it's not taking that original query into account.
What if we did this? What if we said 2019 page equals 2? So this is, so this works. It's just the pagination component doesn't take into account this,
Yep.
whatever parameter this is. So
Yep.
that's
That's
an
exactly
easy
right.
fix.
That's an easy fix.
I'm gonna see if
Hey,
I can throw something out there. PR.
great job. Thanks for pointing that
That's
out.
fine.
Make sure to, hey, Anbu, maybe you throw us your GitHub name and we'll tag you when we create that issue. Or you go create that issue yourself.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. When you specify it manually, it works.
Mhm.
Yep.
Good stuff. What are you working on? Let us know. What are you working on, Dan? What are you going to work on this week?
I don't know. I'm just like trying to collect my thoughts this morning. As I told you, I just got back yesterday afternoon, late afternoon. So I had to like set up everything back in the office, the microphone, the camera, because I took all that with me. I still have to get my newsletter out, which is supposed to be Monday morning. So I'll just say I know it's Monday morning for someone, I think, if I get it out in the next hour. So I'm gonna work on that, and then I just need to collect my thoughts from last week. Make sure I don't forget the comments, the feedback that I got back, and kind of put those down so that I can kind of answer some of those questions. And there's content I want to create around all of the things that I heard last week. So putting just a schedule together of what I'm actually going to get done this week. So yeah, we have 2 weeks. So we have 2 weeks and then we're on the road again. So trying to maximize my time at home.
I'll tell you what I'm working on. I'm looking at my backlog here. I have a talk that I'm preparing for Tanzu Tuesday on June 24th called "Doing More with Less" and Tanzu
Nice.
Community Edition. The whole idea, and you've seen me demonstrate this, is this: I can stand up TCE Tanzu Community Edition. I can stand that up pretty quickly, and I can have all of my applications deployed and running, and that's excited. I said excited, exciting, and I see Fuel Snable. How excited are we for Project Loom? I'm pretty excited. That is exciting. There's a lot of cool stuff coming down, and we should probably touch base on that in one of our upcoming office hours. But between now and then, actually this week, I'm working on that talk, that presentation. I'm going to do a couple of examples. I'm going to try to get some videos out. I'm trying to follow your lead, Dan. And one of those
Nice.
videos is just how easy it is to stand up TCE. Just a quick walkthrough, 10 minutes. I can be up and running with an app deployed from GitHub, just like the glory days of Heroku. I want to give it my GitHub URL and have things up and running. And
Yeah.
that's where I like to be. That's where we're able to be today. So those are the things I'm working on. And then behind that, I'm doing a Spring Gateway that manages the Spring Authorization Server, handles security with Spring Authorization Server. I'm running it on Raspberry Pi cluster.
Nice.
And there's also there's a Spring Boot starter for AI with Java. I'm going to be taking that for a
Ooh,
spin. So those are the
that'll be
things that are on
fun.
my plate. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's going to be fun. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I will say the Project Loom is interesting, and that'll be in Java 19 as a preview feature. So you can switch that on and start playing with it. And yeah, I think there's a lot of misconception out there. And I mean, I had these same questions a month ago, and Josh was asking these questions. And you know, I think people think that Project Loom is going to come in and save the day with threads and away goes reactive programming, and that's not really the case at all. Reactive programming kind of solves two things, one of which is the thread per request issue, but it also does a lot of other things like back pressure and things like that. So uh, I want to, those are some of the things that I want to continue to learn about as well, and try to get some stuff out there, especially in these shows like this, where we can kind of educate on what's coming and what problem it solves. Because most of what I've seen is people saying, "Yeah, I can't wait for Project Loom because we won't have to use reactive web anymore." And it's like, no, that's not the case.
And it shouldn't be the case. Yeah, don't. I hope that that's not the case. I hope that's not the way it's being perceived. But I'm full transparency. I said it before. The reactive programming, the whole paradigm, that thought shift. I'm still working on it.
Yeah,
I'm still getting my
same here.
head wrapped around it and trying to understand the new way of doing things, the cool way to do things. There's a lot of benefits across the board with the way that you're architecting your systems.
Yep.
So yeah, I like it.
Cool. Oh, and then I was talking with Nate. We're doing a talk coming up in August in KCDC on spring recipes, and that we are starting to put together now. So we had a chance to talk last week about how we want to approach that, and I think we've got a really fun way to kind of talk about common scenarios in spring and how do you solve them. So we're starting to work through what those scenarios are going to be. And I'm starting to just write those out. So that's going to be fun. That's also what I'll start working on towards the end of this week. So
Excellent.
yeah, lots of talks. So many talks coming up. I'm excited.
Well, we don't have a lot of questions, so maybe we call it good for today. And I'll bug you about doing another show later this week,
Yeah.
and we can kind of go over some release notes and show some of the stuff we've been working on.
Yeah, definitely have some demos that we can go through. Like I said, I'll probably have some that I can walk through from questions that I got last week and questions that I've been getting in my email. I have a really good question on why I in one of my videos I injected an interface and not the concrete implementation. So, we'll kind of bring it back to some of the basics of, programming to an interface and not an implementation. So I have a demo around that I kind of want to share out. Yeah,
Excellent.
we'll see what we can put together.
That'll be great.
Yeah.
Well, good stuff. Well, thank you.
All
Good
right.
morning, and good luck with the rest of your week.
Same to you, and same to all you.
Right. Yes. Thanks everybody for joining.
All right. Thanks a lot. And pay attention to the show channel. So Tanzu TV, Spring Office Hours. This is number 7. But there are past episodes you can watch. Oh boy, some reverb. But yeah, pay attention to here. Every time that we are going to have a new show, we'll try and get this posted. Also pay attention to Twitter. We usually post stuff over there. So
good job.
Ooh,
That's
issue created.
That's a great example of community feedback. Good job. Applause.
All right, I'm going to see if I can go fix that real quick.
Right on.
All right, cool.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, everyone. See you soon. Bye.